Hello all you beautiful people, how you guys doing? For today's video, it is time for the brand new Abyss, Spiral Abyss for February 2025 here. This one, they got a new little feature going on here. They have two separate buffs for each side. I think this was in the previous one as well. So we got first half swirl damage increased by the active character by 600%. I wonder who that's for, Mizuki. Second half, characters charged attack cryo damage increased by 75. Obviously that's for Risley. Overall, very easy Abyss. The first side is a bunch of mob fights, so any good enable should be able to take them down, but it still takes a lot of time because multi-waves. Time is going to be against you. This is more of an annoying Abyss than it is a difficult Abyss because you got multi-waves. We'll see it. Second side has all the bosses there. Generation field's very easy. Swanee can be really annoying because it's very tanky, and if you don't have a cryo, you can't knock it down. First fight's pretty easy so far. Alright, and these are the teams that I have decided to take. We got Neuvillette with the Hyper Bloom thing, and we got some Kazuha swirls, and then we have Malvika with the cryo Rosaria, kind of help out with some melt stuff, and to take down the Swanee, which is kind of the biggest issue right now in this Abyss. Not using my, again, I'm still the same as the last time. I'm not trying to use my best characters to try and get closer to what you guys would play, but my character is still pretty well built, so it still might be a little bit stronger than what you guys might play, but hey, I'm trying my best, you know? First fight up here, we are fighting the Eremites. Now, this is not too difficult. This fight is not difficult at all. What you are truly fighting is not the Eremites. You are fighting the timer. There are 3 different waves of these Eremites, and trying to beat them all within the timer while getting a good time for the second fight is the true difficulty with this Abyss. Again, use your gathering characters. I'm using Kazuha right now in my party. If you have Venti can help out. Sucrose even. Some type of CC. We need some type of way to gather all these guys up together because they will try to mess you up. They will try to ungather themselves, try to move around, try to interrupt you with super armor or freezing or things like that. So it's all about gathering them all together to finish them quickly. Next up, and this is one of the most annoying ones, we have 5 different waves of Ruin Graders and Ruin Hunters. These fights are not difficult. These fights are not difficult at all. It's just the fact that it's 5 different waves. So you gotta have good rotations, you gotta know what you're doing, and you gotta, like, you know, make builds where it's just like, okay, you can't put everything all in one's basket because by the time you finish one rotation, another rotation is coming up. Like, kind of like there, I kind of messed up a little bit, and my Wawika could have got a good cryo hit on this Ruin Hunter instead of the Ruin Grader just to finish it off. But, you know, I kind of messed up a little bit, so that might cost me time-wise, and maybe if I was a little weaker, that might have been, you know, them losing the 36 star right there. That's kind of how this Abyss is. Is you need to do nice and soft and smooth and quick rotations, quick, snappy, memorizable rotations so you can take all these guys down quickly. None of them are difficult. None of these fights are really that difficult. The difficulty is like the time with it. You gotta do this fast and efficient. If you can beat these guys all within the time, then you win. If you can't beat these guys within the time, you gotta fix your rotation. You gotta get it smoother, you gotta get it snappier, just so you can clear it. Next up here, we got a bunch of hilly churls. Same kind of concept. We got multiple waves, so you need to deal with multiple waves. And the difficult part with this one, as long as the multiple waves, of course you get the normal hilly churls here. They're not too bulky, but we also have hilly churl rogues to deal with. They're the rogues right there. Now these rogues, they can hurt. They're pretty bulky, and again, they're part of the waves. You need to kill 4 of them in total in separate waves here. So it's a lot of time killing. Focus most of your efforts on taking out the rogues. You know, maybe for example, you can do like suboptimal rotations for the tiny hilly churls, just so you can do this a little bit faster. I think anybody can realistically do this fight pretty quickly. It's all about timing. When do you use your skills? When do you use your good stuff? When do you use your stuff that's maybe a little bit more suboptimal? But again, another multi-wave, taking out these enemies. That's kind of why I took Hyper Bloom, is for enemies like this, where it's just like, okay, we still have to deal with wave content, but sometimes we get bulky enemies here. So these are the bulky enemies that we need to deal with. Also, keep messing up my Neuvillette Hydro Pump. A little bit of tip for you guys for Neuvillette's Hydro Pump. If you hold down the button while you're already firing, you can like get ready to charge on the next one. It's a very nice tip. Alright, let's finish this off with some Hyper Bloom. Boom. 8:30, about 8:30. Like, that could have been a little bit quicker. I feel like I could have got that in maybe 1 minute 15 seconds, but it took me about 1 minute 30. Gravity Machine is the next fight here. Nothing too difficult with the Gravity Machine, just kind of your basic high HP boss that has like some pretty strong hits, so it has a chance of killing you. But most of the times, it shouldn't be too bad. Follow its gimmicks, do your damage as best as possible, and you should be fine. I say that, I took a good hit there. Yeah, just make sure you jump when you need to jump. But yeah, there's nothing too crazy about this guy. It's just your big fat boss with a lot of HP. It's just like, okay, how much time do you take in that first fight with the waves? Is that enough time for you to beat this boss with a lot of HP? That's all that fight is. I think Chamber 2 is probably the easiest in my opinion, but it could be a very tricky for the first wave because you may not be knowing how to do that fully. Alright, let's begin the last fight here. We got two more robots here. Just two waves for this one. It's just the same enemy 4 times with the 2 different waves. Definitely the easiest side for the first side of the chambers, but they're both very bulky. So maybe it's like, you know, for example, let's think like, okay, let's say you were playing Venti, right? Like you were playing Venti with those last 2 fights, and it's like, oh, it's really easy because Venti was swirling all of them really well in one singular spot. You know, these guys won't be swirled by Venti, right? You know, this is where a character like Kazuha is gonna shine a lot more because he can actually, you know, swirl these guys and do some decent damage, as opposed to Venti, who can't really swirl these guys. So that might be a little bit of a difficulty there, but they're still pretty straightforward. It's just some bulky mobs that like might cause some problems. I think the biggest issue with them is sometimes they don't like to group. Like, you know, I'm using Neuvillette right now, so that's not that bad because Neuvillette's hydro pump hits a long range, but they could be really annoying. Again, another time killer so that it can kill your time for fighting this abomination. Alright, and of course, we're finishing it off with the Swanee, with the Catfish. The Catfish has arrived. This is the only reason we have Rosaria with us right now. We have Rosaria with us to deal with this thing. It will activate a hydro barrier periodically, and we need to deal with that hydro barrier by using Rosaria's E skill or Rosaria's burst if it happens to be out. There we go, like just right there. If you do not do that, this boss will waste so much time doing some like really annoying hydro attacks. Will go into the middle of the arena and spawn so many like hydro pillars, and not only can those hydro pillars be a one-shot, they will reduce his damage by so much. This thing has so much damage reduction during that water mode. It's ridiculous that you really highly recommend that you take a cryo character with you, even if it's not that best cryo character. My Rosaria right now, she does not have the best build. I just slapped a Favonius on her, I slapped an Emblem on her, and then I went to town and just like, you know, Mel, we could just get some good melts here, and thankfully I was able to do it. That is the brand new Abyss for February 2025 version 3. Excuse me, version 5. We should be at 4 now, right? 5.4. This is 5.4. There we go. I think this one's easier than last time. If you want my personal opinion, which Abyss did I think was the easiest? This harder or this easier? I think this is a lot easier than before. It's definitely more on the side of the gimmicks, right? You need a lot of swirl. You need a lot of CC. Like if you don't have swirl, you need some CC or just wide range in general. And then the boss, like the Swanee, is something where you need cryo for, and at least in general, it's just, oh, you just need cryo. You don't need something specific like it's not the mimic, right? It's not the plant mimic that we fought, the Papilla. It's not Papilla, right? Where you need specific builds. This is just, okay, you just need cryo. No, you don't really need cryo. I fought this guy with Hyper Bloom and it was fine. If you guys want to see that, I can fight this guy with Hyper Bloom and be like, okay, you can fight this with that. You don't need cryo, right? You can fight this with Hyper Bloom if you want to, for example, right? Or you can just use your really strong DPS. But, you know, that's kind of how Abyss is right now, where it's just like, you know, we got these 2 gimmicks to kind of focus on the characters, right? First half is kind of for Mizuki with the swirl damage. Second half is kind of for Wriothesley, you know, with the cryo damage increase. But because we're working off that, it's in general a lot easier. So, boom. Bang, boom, bada boom, there you go. Abyss is done and cleared. If you guys need more advice, leave it in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you guys next time. Have yourselves a fantastic night. If you want more videos, subscribe and tell me what you want, and I'm going to see you guys next time. Have yourselves a fantastic day, and peace out.